Good morning to you. This is Talk with me, Julia Hartley-Brewer, still joined by Benedict Spence, and now also joined in the studio. Although I'm a little bit wary, given some of the activism we've seen over the last few months and years, by Alistair Stewart, who's spokesman for the vegan campaign group Animal Rising. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Julia.
Thank you for joining us. Again, I did say with this, the guy said, "Oh, he's coming in the studio." I went, "Is that a good idea? I'm wearing a white jacket I quite like today. So can we just guarantee you're not going to be throwing things over me or barricading the studio or defacing the studio wall? That'll be a nice thing to know."
Absolutely. We're not doing that at all.
Not doing that at all. You do have a big... is that the Wallace of the Wallace and Gromit?
Yeah, that's right.
That's the Wallace, right. Okay,
earlier.
so for those who've not been paying attention, we had first official portrait of the King that was unveiled very recently. The big striking one by the artist Yo with bright red, very vivid portrait. I think Benedict and I are about the only two people in the country who really liked it. But yesterday, Animal Rising protesters went into the gallery where it is being shown and defaced the painting by, for some reason, putting on large Wallace and Gromit stickers. Why Wallace and Gromit, first of all?
So Wallace of Wallace and Gromit is one of the King Charles's favourite cartoon characters, and the reason why Animal Rising supporters put this poster on this painting was that King Charles is the royal patron of the RSPCA, and on Sunday we released findings from the largest investigation into UK animal farming that's ever been done. We found systemic animal cruelty, 280 legal breaches. So we released this report on Sunday, and there just wasn't that much traction from the media. Yesterday, two supporters of Animal Rising went in using just a bit of water and some window film and this poster here, put this on the painting, on the glass, no damage done.
That has been confirmed, there was no damage done.
Correct.
But, I mean, we've seen other activists for other causes, they have been doing damage. That's why people were very concerned at the time. It's a stunt.
I don't disagree.
These are stunts to get attention for your cause. Look, I'm as concerned as any right-thinking person should be that if there are 45 farms, as you found in your report across the UK, farms for chickens, pigs, salmon, trout, and others, which you believe you've seen that you believe there have been 280 legal breaches.
That's not us.
Not you. No, apologies.
Independent
Yes,
legal experts.
there have been 280 legal breaches, 94 breaches of DEFRA regulations, and yet those farms are part of the RSPCA's Assured Farms scheme. That is supposed to reassure the consumer that what you're buying is an animal product where animals haven't been treated with cruelty. And you're saying, frankly, it's not worth the paper it's printed on.
What we're saying is the RSPCA are misleading the British public. We are being lied to. Again, systemic animal cruelty, the RSPCA are assuring factory farms. And the British public deserve to know the truth.
But we know we have factory farms. What do you count as cruelty? There'll be cruelty we'll both agree on, but you consider it to be cruel that these animals are kept at all and that people eat them, don't you?
Well, I guess there are two things going on here. One is the legal breaches and the breaches of DEFRA regulations. Again, independent experts, 280 legal breaches, 94 breaches of DEFRA regulations on these farms. The other thing is
haven't been prosecuted for these. These are what you're alleging. What is alleged by these?
We're not interested in prosecuting any animal farmers. We deliberately haven't released the names of farms.
Why not?
This is a systemic issue because we want the attention to be on the RSPCA Assured scheme, and the RSPCA, we're calling on the RSPCA to drop this Assured scheme. What this investigation is shown...
Wait a second, sure you want an Assured scheme, but you just want it to provide definite assurance.
What this investigation has shown is there is no kind way of farming animals.
But this is the key thing, isn't it? So now, I would argue there are. Now, I'm of the view that actually we should be paying more for our chickens and more for our pork because we should be keeping animals in better conditions, and I think we should be leading the world on that one. And I'm sorry, if food prices go up, that is a cost of basic morality. We know, these animals should be kept in decent conditions. However, I don't think it's cruel in itself to keep animals to be eaten by human beings. And this is where lots of people are going to differ with you, where actually it's not just about animals being kept or slaughtered in a inhumane way, and we've seen revelations about that from other groups, or being kept in unacceptable conditions of cruelty. I think most people, when they're aware of that, are horrified by that, but they expect the government, they expect the supermarkets, they expect those selling the goods to us and overseeing the regulation to deal with that. Exposing that, it's a good thing to do. But when your argument is that keeping any animal of any sort behind bars and eating it is by definition cruel, that's where you lose most of the public.
Well, Judah, I'd ask you, is there a kind way to kill an animal?
Yes.
What does that look like?
Well,
to you?
an animal not having, we know animals that are stunned and don't know they've been harmed, they've not been killed. I mean, I think there's a humane way of killing human beings.
Oh, well, if it's in their best interests.
Yeah,
But animal farming
vets put animals down all the time
because it's in their best interests.
Yes.
Animal farming does not exist because it's in the animal's best
interest.
interest.
It's in our interest
for
because
our
we want
interest.
to eat animals. Yes.
And we don't need to do
Antelopes exist antelopes exist for the lion's best interests as well.
Lions don't have a choice. We do. You
Yes,
have
they
a choice.
do.
I have a choice.
Well,
And let's talk about humane slaughter.
Yeah.
So the RSPCA Assured scheme assures slaughterhouses as well as farms. 88% of pigs in the UK are killed with CO2 gas. They're sent into gas chambers, lowered into these chambers, and they experience seconds, often minutes, of excruciating pain. And there's footage you can find online. A film called Pignorant recently came out exposing UK slaughterhouses for doing this, and it's some of the most appalling footage I've ever seen in my life.
Because the animals suffer as they're gassed, as opposed to a gas that put. I know, if it was a gas that put them to sleep and they were totally unaware they were being slaughtered, I would have no issue with that. You would still have an issue with it.
I would. I think that animals deserve good lives. They deserve not to.
And
be
they should have good lives that should never be ended. And again, we had Vegan on the show yesterday. Only if it's an interest. So you don't think that human beings have a right to eat animals at all?
That's not what this campaign exists to achieve.
That's what you believe.
I think we don't have a right to inflict unnecessary harm on animals.
No,
that's right.
I would agree with that. I would like to think that every right-thinking person agrees with that. It's a question of what you consider them being killed at all for the purpose of us eating them is cruelty. I would like animals to be kept in better conditions. Those better conditions will largely involve, much more regulation and will involve higher costs. And I think that is a price we should pay. I agree on that one. However, I still want to be able to have my bacon, sarnie, my burger.
Well, Julia, I'd love you to watch the footage that we released.
Listen, I would still want a bacon sandwich and I'd still want a burger. And I'll tell you, we know why. Farmers, those who work in farming, who work with animals, they are almost to a man and a woman. Also meat eaters. We have teeth that are designed and stomachs, and evolution has designed us to be omnivores, not vegetarians.
We can have a theoretical debate about
It's
this
not a theoretical
all
debate.
day long, Julia.
Practically, biologically, we are designed.
The reality
human beings are only at the top of the food chain because we have used meat as a way of getting protein into our bodies quickly and efficiently, and developing our brains, developing our ability to control our environment around us. Meat and fish, absolutely vital for that.
Julia, I'm not here to persuade you to go vegan.
Well, you won't.
That's not why Animal Rising, that's not why this campaign exists.
No, but fundamentally,
this campaign
you think that it is
to expose systemic animal cruelty,
and we've talked about that, and I applaud you for exposing that.
Are gassed in gas chambers.
That's an argument for treating animals more humanely, not an argument for your campaign wants, which is for people to stop eating meat, and not just for people to choose to, for people to be forced to stop eating meat.
That's not why I've just told you why this campaign exists. It exists to ask the RSPCA to drop the RSPCA.
That's the one campaign. But Animal
I'd
Rising,
love you to join us in making the same demand.
You believe that any animal being killed for human consumption of any sort is cruel.
We believe that animals deserve good lives.
Do you believe they have the same rights as humans?
Of course not. I don't think that a pig should be given the right to vote, for instance. That wouldn't make
Although, I mean, 16-year-olds and pigs. I mean, I've met a few dogs and pigs that probably know more than a lot of 16-year-olds glued to their iPhones. Benedict Spence, you've been listening to all of this. I know you like a good steak.
Yes, I mean, there is a happy medium to be found, which is that I do actually agree with you, which is that people should pay a lot more to have much higher quality meat, higher standard. You know, when you taste the difference between a steak that you bought for very little money in a supermarket and an awful lot. I
think it's even about the taste. I think we should morally, we shouldn't be allowing animals to be mistreated.
The difference in taste is you physically tasting the difference in quality of life. That is to say, you're tasting suffering if you're tasting something that is cheaper and therefore worse. But realistically, there isn't a world in which we can exist without meat. You know, that's
just not true, Benedict.
It is true. None of us have any energy to do anything.
Something else that I also have to say.
I'm here with a lot of energy.
I'm amazed. I'm amazed that anyone's got the energy to do anything.
But also, again, long term, what is the future of all of these animals if we decide we're just not going to eat them? They will die. There's no use for them.
This is not a transition that's going to happen overnight. Let's be
realistic. You'd like to force us not to be. You'd like laws to stop us eating.
I would like laws to prevent the infliction of suffering and exploitation on animals.
But you'd also like laws to stop us.
No, genuinely, I wouldn't do that. It's not about consumption. It's not about use of vegan.
I don't think the persuasion is going to work.
It's about preventing systemic cruelty to
animals.
I
like to think, look, we've talked about the survey. I mean, the study. I really appreciate you joining us. Thank you for not throwing things on me. Alistair Stewart, spokesman for Animal Rising. Love to hear your thoughts on that. This is Talk.